Greetings. In this part of our discussion, we are still discussing the second part of the promise the Lord made to the Israeli Jews on their way to enter Palestine, the Holy Land. And we said the first part of the promise was all blessings, promises of wonderful blessings if they obey. And the second part of the promise, if they disobey and offend the Lord, curses on top of curses, endless curses, miserable situation, dangerous. We are still in Deuteronomy chapter 28, and right now we're reading verse number 32, and it says, "Your sons and daughters will be given to another nation," sons and daughters. The Israeli sons and daughters, their offsprings, will be given to another nation. They will be removed from the Israeli nation and be given to a different nation. What to do with the sons and the daughters? Well, it's obvious. The sons, to be submissive, slaves, miserable, hardship, and life in the worst conditions. And we know that. Later on it will describe how the northern kingdom, Assyria, came against the northern kingdom of the Israelis, Samaria. They killed half and took the rest to slavery. So here, Samaria's children, the Israeli children from Samaria, the sons will be submissive slaves, miserable slaves under the Assyrians, the kingdom of war. And then later on, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, he came and he killed half of the southern kingdom of Judea, half of the Israeli Jews. And he took the other half to slavery in Babylon. Their sons and daughters, the sons were submissive to miserable slavery and hardship, and the daughters for prostitution, to be abused every day in a different beds of the Babylonians. So, as verse 32 from Deuteronomy 28 says, your sons and daughters will be given to another nation. And you will wear out your eyes watching for them day after day, in front of their eyes. They will see this happening, how their children, submissive slaves to the Assyrians and the Babylonians, and their daughters moving in front of their eyes as they are witnesses, moving from one bed of the Babylonian to another bed, like harlots. Powerless to lift a hand, and you can do nothing about it. Powerless. You can do nothing about it. If you glimpse while watching, you are supposed to have open eyes. Watch it. If you glimpse, you will suffer, and you may die for it. The people that you do not know will eat what your land and labor produce. People you do not know, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, will eat your produce, what you produce, what you planted. They will come and harvest and take it all for themselves. You will enjoy none of this. And this is repeated, we said this before in the same chapter. And you will have nothing but cruel oppression all your days. Now, the Christians, they try to make it sound gentle and kind. They do not say slavery. They say captivity. They were captive. In captivity, you may have some rights as a prisoner, But in slavery, you have no rights whatsoever. And that was the real situation. It was not captivity. This is a lie. They were not captive. When the Babylonians and the Assyrians came, they were not planning to acquire the Israeli Jews for a small, short period of time. They were taking them as slaves. They killed half of them, and the second half they took into slavery as long as they live, forever. There is no contract that say, all right, come with us, here's the contract, come with us for 70 years, and then you can go back. That's not the situation. If that was the situation, and there is a contract signed, then it was captivity. But it wasn't. Also, on top of that, it was not only slavery, miserable slavery, but even worse than that of which the Israelis suffered under the Egyptians. Much worse. In Babylon, they did not kill the offsprings, the firstborns of the Israeli Jews, but the hardship and the work implemented over the Israelis were doubles. If you will see an incident in the marketplace where an Egyptian is whipping an Israeli while Moses was passing by, and this Israeli calls on Moses for help, and Moses killed the Egyptian and after that fled. This is not the same in Babylon. In Babylon, whipping was continuous, non-stop. They do not talk. They whip. They move the Israeli Jews with a whip, not with talking like the Egyptians. Do this and don't do that. No, with a whip. The whip speaks. The sound of the lashes guide the Israeli Jews to do what the Babylonians desire. Any kind of work. So their slavery in Babylon was hell, worse than ever anything known to the Israelis in Egypt. Much worse. And the punishment was many doubles. Why? In Egypt, when they followed Joseph and they lived, they abused the people. They abused the people, but did not worship idols, did not offend the Lord. But they were punished because they abused the people. They used to lend the people money, and if the people cannot pay on time, they will take their houses, their children, their cattle, their belongings, and they strip them. They strip them to poverty. And because they did this so awful, so miserably, so the Lord gave them to the hands of the Egyptian king to subdue them into slavery. But they did not worship idols. While when they went to Palestine, the Holy Land, the land of milk and honey, from the first minute until they were plucked out by the Lord at the hands of the Babylonians, they worshipped idols. They offended the Lord. Every threat the Lord made, Moses spoke on behalf of the Lord. They did exactly the opposite. And they worshipped idols. And they killed the messengers and the prophets. And they did every kind of evil you can imagine. So that's why their punishment in Babylon was much more severe than that of Egypt, according to the desire and the wish of the Lord himself. Continue this next time. Take care.